Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining this webinar series. Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, wherever you are in the world watching. This webinar is about strategies to streamline ITSM, basically IT security management perspective. I am President and CEO of Sennovate, Senthil Palaniappan, and I'm presenting along with Vasu Palaniandi. I have a lot of experience in project management and service delivery. First, some of the housekeeping items. Please feel free to ask questions anytime. If we will answer the question if it is relevant to that particular slide, or we will reserve all the questions towards the end. This presentation is about 45 minutes. We'll be planning about 30 minutes on the presentation and last 10-15 minutes on the question and answers. Please rate this webinar. This is going to help us to improve this in the future, and leave the feedback. And also, please feel free to share this link with your colleagues or whoever might be benefited. This is available, recorded all the time for you. Now, a little bit of background about the presenters, and then, like I said, I'm the President and CEO of Sennovate. I have over 25 years of experience in information technology, starting from infrastructure, identity and access management, ERP databases, and having variety of experience in this arena. The other presenter is Vasu Palaniandi. He's PMP, CSM, ITIL. And also he's been having over 22 years of experience in various service delivery, project management, various process management, and also he has a very deep knowledge in domains such as financial or retail. He brings a variety of experience into the table. Today's agenda, as you all know, so how to focus the process and delivery of the technology. So basically, how the service delivery is there, and ITIL is there, and you have security aspects are there. How we can bring all these things together, still achieve the business objectives. And how do you kind of look at from the security perspective, and how do you manage IT services efficiently? And also we'll be looking into how this all matters when it comes to governance and compliance part of it. Having said that, to kind of briefly start with an introduction of ITSM and ITOM. This is a slide, thanks to Gardner for this. ITSM is Information Technology Service Management and Information Technology Operations Management. So basically, one is predominantly known for operations, is known for monitoring and alert reporting. Then the ITSM is predominantly known for engaging, right? Delivering issues and taking care of the delivery aspects of it from the business standpoint. And now we have automation comes into play. Automation, and the olden days it's just a basic automation, but now it is all built into all the buzzwords, right? Artificial intelligence, machine learning. How do you kind of build the automation into all those latest and greatest technology? At the same time, how would you build the capabilities through analytics that you're building? You need to have a robust analytical platform to feed in the data for this automation to be successful. So for that, on the left side, if you look at in this picture, there are a lot of historical data, real-time data from various vendors. With the advent of cloud, so many vendors, so many products, we can have real-time plugins we'll be using. Any small issue, in the 20-30 years back, we have to either customize the existing product. Maybe we bought some product from Oracle or SAP or any other large ERP companies. We customize it or build it homegrown. That's what the practice. But nowadays, any small problem, we go to the Google and search, and then probably somebody would have already found a solution and then put it in the SaaS platform, or maybe you can use it from Amazon Cloud or Google Cloud and then plug in and then start using it. So many products, so many inputs, unlike before, it's like so many interfaces come into play. That's why the left side feeds the data into the system. And the right side is all the data and collection, and then all this alerts, monitoring, and the results gets into all the analytical platform like historical analysis, so performance analysis, and so forth on the right side. So this is how the data flow happens through any ITOM, which is a monitoring, and ITSM, which is an engagement products. So here, if you look at this is from the business perspective. The business perspective, it is pretty simple, right? Not simple, but it's kind of very straightforward. So you have so many integrations, so many systems feeds into the data, or solving the problem, and alerting, or notifying, and providing certain information for this particular operational team to be successful. And again, that it goes to the analytics and feeds back into the data for the improvement. But this has another angle to it, which is security angle. All these so many interfaces, including introduces so many players, not only within the company, also outside the company, not only within the cloud, within on-prem, but also on the cloud. Cloud, so many clouds, private cloud, public cloud. Within the public cloud, you have a PaaS, the information infrastructure as a service, or you have like a lot of SaaS products, all integration products, so many products kind of built in so many players. It exposes data to so many locations in the world. So it's kind of, it's globally virtual. You don't know where it comes from, so it's very hard to track. How would you, in this scenario, how do you focus on the security? So the security is no longer be in a silo. If you remember a couple of decades ago, always there is a cybersecurity team. Nobody knows there was a team called cybersecurity team. Somebody sitting in the corner, probably not waiting for something to happen. But today, modern day is not like that. It's a very, very, very active security team that work hand in hand with all the operations, performance, delivery, development, everything together, to kind of security is built into the process from the beginning to an end. So no longer is a separate entity. So that is what this is what talking about. That's what my next slide shows. If you look at the left side is identity and access management. That is builds a core foundation, necessary foundation, which manages the usernames, passwords, various different types of users, whether partners, vendors, customers, internal employees. Within that, how are they connecting to this using this multi-factor authentication to ensure that that is the right person connecting, accessing the right one, and that they have proper access privileges to the right applications, and the platforms and privileged access are secured through PAM. Then that has its own governance compliance. That is the kind of building the foundation for this. Then how do you extend this into DevOps and DevSecOps? Basically, you will all the development, starting the development, whether it's a product operations or in the development operations, that kind of extended to DevSecOps, where all this identity defines who is touching what, who is doing what. That gives a clarity and a role, and also builds an accountability for anybody who is doing really what they are doing, and records those sessions to make sure that the fear is created, or the responsibility is created. Accountability is created within every individual to perform what they need to perform. The accountability is not just the individual, but also the vendors, all the partners, everybody. So this platform kind of extends that into DevOps, DevSecOps to kind of build that development automation platform with complete security. Everything kind of look at it and then look at as strategically put everything into the process. Then you have all the ITSM, IIT, OEM, the monitoring stuff, which is there also. One other thing is called SOC, which is Security Operating System. That also monitors everything from the security angle, and that a lot of products available. SIM, security information event management, storage, mostly an orchestration, automation, and response. CASB is cloud access security broker. EDR is endpoint detection and response. ET is email threat protection. User behavior analytics or user entity analytics. So many things. So all those things kind of comes together in one platform like SOAR. From there, everything monitored and put it back to if any problem happens, that's the root cause analysis, right, RCA, and find the fix. And the fix not goes to the tactical fix, but it goes to the strategic fix, put into the platform, and then that kind of carries out security. Think about the airplane, like a flight, they don't really every single time, they don't really touch, fix each and every screws or each and every types. So any problem happen, they put into the process, go to the foundation, fix it. Once it is fixed, it's fixed for all. It will never repeat again. So that kind of a model, the beauty of it is everybody coming closer, and that means what? Everybody should know about other side of it. This is security only, know this, no. Security needs to know the business needs to know security. It's as a whole, it can be relevant. This is what we believe this is going to take the next stage with all the AI, ML into play. AI ops going to take over and then try to minimize the human intervention, minimize the human error. At the same time, it monitors 24/7. At the same time, it takes a responsive action whenever it is required. But at the same time, it is something it is beyond its learning capability. It can alert right human being to kind of look into it. This is kind of overall perspective of how IT service management and operations come together, and then kind of build the security in the process to make it more robust and have a peace of mind for business to focus on what they need to focus. Having said that, that is what I give this floor to Vasu to kind of take it from here to kind of put his perspective on IT service management. Vasu, floor is yours.
Thank you, Senthil. All right. So how do we focus on the processes and leverage with technology? The whole ITSM and ITIL, under IT service management, you have ITIL, a lot of frameworks, etc. They all focus on, their primary focus is on the processes rather than technology, because technology keeps changing and we keep coming up with new stuff all the time. And so they focus mostly on the processes. And we all have worked with that company which has the best of processes, but they are always hesitant to implement any or invest in any decent set of tools. So, it doesn't really make sense to have best of processes without the supporting technology tool set. And there are some of these large enterprises where they invest heavily on the tool set. They have the latest and greatest technology tool set available, just that there is not a clear framework as to how you can leverage those technology tool sets. So the best ideal state, and then there are these small, especially startups and that sort of a setup where you have neither the process nor the tool set. So the best state would be to have a framework that fits for purpose tool set and the framework that really works. And how would you achieve that? Rather than concentrating on a single framework, we need to find the hybrid model that would work for the level of the line of business we are in, that sort of thing. For example, beyond ITIL, you see quite a bit of other process improvement frameworks, like I'll take you to the next slide. Six Sigma, and you have a lot of other security frameworks, etc. So you find a hybrid model that would help you, as well as a technology tool set that is purpose, fit for purpose, would help you eliminate these needless documentation and framework, and gives you a seamless workflow, and also has the necessary bells and whistles, so you get proper reporting, proper alert, all that built in, and so that you can do course correction when you identify gaps, etc. And also the process culture, very, very, very important, because just because you have the tools and process defined and all that, if that is not ingrained in the workforce, it's not going to help you in any way. And that's very important. That's why you have to spend that extra time and effort in making sure that the organization has the process culture, the required process culture, and the tools enable that. So that's very, very important when it comes to implementing IT service management and all the related frameworks. Again, when we adopt ITIL best practices, align the energy of IT with the objectives of business. That's a really nice buzzword, but do we, as Senthil was talking about, everybody is going to be involved in everything going forward. It's already started in bits and pieces. So you have business which needs to be aware of all the latest developments in the security arena, say, or all these delivery mechanisms, that how you are going to provide the services, etc. So when you adopt ITIL best practice, so you have all the different phases: service strategy, service design, service transition, service operations, and continuous service improvement, and all the relevant service desk related functionalities, the areas, event, incident, change, and problem management. So security would be somewhere, when you do the service design, that's when ITIL v3 even suggests that IT security management comes around in that place. However, when you really look at it, it is going to be cutting across the whole of framework. I'll take you to that next. So we were talking about the hybrid model. So it's not just ITIL, Six Sigma, which is to improve business processes, cutting down on defects and errors, etc. So that's in a manufacturing enterprise, Six Sigma would be ideal fit. Whereas in a IT product development, where it's mostly thinking, you can't really put an effort to debugging something, right? It can't be repeated all across. So every bug is unique, and every time you spend time, you can't really apply Six Sigma in that scenario. So, however, you can still use Six Sigma in a service desk where how do you with a defined process, how are we going to address let's say password reset? Can be it would probably have 4 or 5 different tasks, and how the service desk operator responds to that sort of a scenario. So you can adopt and implement these other service culture, these frameworks that improve your service culture. So you have the ISO, IEC 20K framework, which is primarily for IT service providers, and then business project and portfolio management. Again, you get business as well as IT. Everyone gets involved in this. Integrated with your whatever ITSM or ITIL tool that you already have. Pretty much all the vendors today provide these as additional modules, and you have other business process related COBIT and ETOM as well. So it is not just ITSM alone, but or developing this service culture all across the enterprise. That's going to be the key. And moving on to how do we introduce IT security, in the scheme of things. I was Senthil talked about it as well, and I kind of spoke briefly before. So you have the core where you have all these business activities, ITSM, everything, your change management, the core circle, and IT security management kind of evolves because it is not you can't really predict everything there. That's the whole thing about IT security. So you constantly evolve. You constantly, continuously do that. Something similar to Deming's quality circle: plan, do, check, act. So you have these evolving regulatory requirements. You have these evolving, new set of services being provided, new set of threats being identified continuously. So you plan to check, act. So you have a way to control that. So you implement it and validate, analyze the gap, and then again plan to address the gap continuously. This is it's going to be so you have the inner core circle that is evolving on its own, and then the security sits on the out periphery, and it is even more faster in its evolution, faster in its change and everything. And moving on, so how that's where you see the IT security management, to always you are on the edge. Any incident and the breaches and all that you want to address, as well as limit and prevent it from happening again. So as Senthil was saying, the airplane industry. So you build into that framework so that you don't have to worry about that recurring again, because it's part of the framework already. So that's why it is continuously evolving, and it sits on the periphery and keeps feeding in at every level, at every different phases of the ITIL or any other framework that you choose. Okay. All right. So once with the IT security management, you have multiple different, again, you have the access management related tools that you need to integrate with ITSM. You have these governance and administration related tools. Every area that is listed has multiple set of tools. You have the SOC and SIEM, where you get, you suck out all the logs and keep proactively monitoring for anything that's any kind of breach or any kind of event occurring. And DevSecOps, that's again the recent developments in security orchestration, automation, response tools. You have again user entity behavior analytics systems, many different tools. So how do we we need to make sure that it is it's fit for purpose and integrated into the process. And ITSM, when you talk about service design, that's where you have to make sure how secure is it going to be. How are you going to deliver this? Is it going to be on a mobile device? Is it going to be on a or just the internal customer, internal workforce use only? Everything will determine, and that would again determine the level of tooling that you need, level of security governance, and and all the related entities that you need to integrate with. So eventually, you have to choose the hybrid that would suit you and fit for your needs. And the purpose what far you have you would want to. What's the purpose? What's the how do I put it? What's the achieve? What's the goal that you want to achieve? So it's you can't go with the cookie cutter approach. That's we all know that by now, I guess. And the more and more integration is needed, so you plan ahead and create a service culture that would seamlessly integrate these products. And Senthil, back to you.
Thank you, Vasu. Thank you for giving your insight on that. This one, but just to kind of sum up here, so you have this all the security products we have sorry, I think I'm just trying to get the right slide here. The security products you have with various security again it's another ocean. You have access management, governance, like Vasu said, SOC, DevOps, SOAR, and user. It's a lot more than this. So many other products there. So how would you kind of sum up? How would you do the digital transformation? So that is what I think. This is what I think kind of gives you the high level picture of what are the different things that you can do, right? So initially, like I said before the second conclusion, you have you have identity and access management. So identity access management is the kind of build a platform which is like build the identity and then build the security. Around that you have the governance compliance. That's kind of a first part. Then how do you extend those capabilities into DevOps? That is the second part. Then that becomes the transformation into a SecOps. So the DevSecOps, that kind of gives you like a complete software lifecycle, the development lifecycle, completely fully bundled, packaged, and then rolling out type of thing. So then it gets into the operations. Operations become easier now because operations kind of monitoring using all the data points. The ITSM, ITOM going to manage and SOC. They're going to be managing, and then through AI Ops or the SOC. So then any alerts, threat detections, anything or any log it gives a warning. So those things can mostly scan through the artificial intelligence part, and then automatically take an action or give this back to something is beyond that, that gives back to the development to kind of identify the root cause and then fix it in the root core. The fix can be either on the removing certain access on the security framework, or blocking certain ports, or blocking certain packages, or fixing certain packages from the foundation of the DevOps or that's the DevSecOps, or it could be the putting a fix in the development of a specific product, the patch inside the development code, but still that is applied and then put it as a part of this DevOps, so that way it will never repeat again. It is kind of completely closed. So that is the kind of overall perspective of this digital transformation, and that ends this presentation. And now we have few questions that we can go over. The first question that here one of the audience asked, how automation will impact security management? Vasu, would you like to take this?
Yeah, thanks, Senthil. So in the more and more we see business process automation happening. So the security of these robots, which are sometimes called macros on steroids, and all these back-end processes running and doing what an individual would be essentially doing. So today we have these service accounts that schedulers that sort of how do we manage? We have password vaults and etc. So pretty much that sort of safeguarding would be sufficient. However, the more and more we see the machine learning and other things coming into play, the access management, that set of tools would have to evolve as well. So we need to again identify the one that would fit for fit your needs and evolve. Keep addressing the gap. That's it.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Vasu. I think so that's good. So one more question that comes to you, Vasu, again. How artificial intelligence and the machine learning will impact ITSM in particular.
Okay. Again, so the service management for vis-a-vis specific set of users, that we have the specific individual in place, that sort of where we can actually identify, whereas in the artificial intelligence machine learning world, where you have very fluid service ownership, so we probably have to upfront as well as while onboarding that sort of services, we'll have to make sure that there is clear ownership established, as well as and the special needs documented and managed throughout, because this is going to be not a specific service. It would be something that would cut across multiple business areas, and that level of clarity. One way of addressing is center of excellence, which kind of starts owning these services, the new services which span across multiple different business units, multiple services in a different setup. So all these streamlining needs to occur, and ITSM would have to adapt to these new center of excellences, etc., coming up as well. So it's a continuous evolution and the continuous service improvement, and that sort of aspects of the ITSM frameworks, whatever you have implemented, would address this and keeps feeding in, and you make the necessary amendments.
Good. Thank you, Vasu. And here one more question. There is an overlap between IGA and ITSM tools for access, request, and approvals. What is the recommended approach? This is a very good question. I think I take this, Vasu. I've been getting this kind of questions along. So because what happens is IGA that has a similar capabilities, and then some of the ITSM kind of it built for similar capabilities in some of the things. So what the thing is, the best approach is there's no best approach so basically it's all about the business driven, what is important. But generally, I would recommend to keep things separate, and also the effective integration, that's the key. For example, if so something is happening in this IGA, and then certain governance issue kind of appearing, instead of trying to maybe that's effective integration through a ticketing tool to kind of see that how do you kind of the same capability, how do you integrate so that one alert and which has a role, it define which is which has that particular role, right? If you want to govern through the IGA, which is of course the cyber security part, and then keep that as a primary, and then make it effective integration, and then maybe effectively, kind of push it through the right ticketing system to kind of manage properly looked at and closed. So that way there won't be like a mutual mystification type of thing, right? So, and also there won't be any duplication. So that's what I would recommend. And this all comes with the effective integration, understanding both sides, and then set one as a primary, and then that takes ownership and deliver it all through. And then once it is done, and the integration also passes that status to the other side to close it. Otherwise, one side it is fixed and the other side is still open, it is not good. So this is all about coming into understanding. That's where the knowledge of understanding both sides, and then effective integration, and properly closing it. So that is the key. So that requires some good planning upfront. Hope that answers the question. And going on to the next question, how self-service will bring accountability as a manager forgets about this employee roles? Yeah, this is another question I kept getting, like, so self-service. So I think the traditional approach is every time I fill out a form and give it to the manager, I need this access, the manager asking me back, what is this? And so that way that's there. But at the same time, like if it's self-service, technically that should happen. It builds the workflow and then goes to the approval, but manager most of the time he just clicks approve, sometimes middle of the night. So this is what is addressed by the certification attestation review and certification, that is the governance side. What enforces every manager to force them to look at everybody's role, all the reportees' role, and the access to the minor granular level, and then put the proper validations. They can put some enough of the right text before approving it. So that enforces the certification process or attestation review, if you call that process, in the companies to companies. Some companies needs like every 90 days, some companies 180 days, some companies a year. So this process routinely cleans up and brings back the sanity to the system. And okay, then I go to the other questions, the last question, I guess. So many technologies, so many products, how would any company possibly build expertise to make sense of it, manage it, and also secure? So I think the person is trying to ask is, like before the one platform, and either the customer or the vendor provides a service, or you customize the product to get the service. That's what it's been like, by having a larger footprint like Oracle, EBS, or SAP. But now so many small products. So for people uses for CRM, Salesforce, for financials, supply chain, and NetSuite. This one for the human resources, Workday. Similarly, for the security product, CASB, there may be some CloudLog. For performance management, Datadog. So many kind of, every small solution, some product cloud is there. Then especially the security, there's so many threat detection. For email, separate one. Vulnerability, separate one. Endpoint detection, separate one. Identity access management, separate product. Within that, the one for the single sign-on, sometimes separate product. For the MFA, that's a separate product. For PAM, separate product. Within the PAM, you wanted to have a session monitoring, that is a separate product. Within that, you wanted to have remote access, RDAs type of thing, that's separate product. So many products out there, and for whether the business, functional, or technology, security. So how one company can manage effectively. This is definitely a tricky and challenging part, but one of the things is, if anybody drives and understand the foundation, understand the concept, principles, rest of things easier. to figure out. So all the modern products they're making it much easier, not like time consuming, like you need to have like months and months of training and to understand. Usually it's like probably 1 day training is good enough for each product to kind of go on if you are having these fundamentals right. That is what you need to kind of build a team which kind of have a cross-functional, cross-technology team. That is the best way to kind of handle this, and also constantly updating yourself by going to various conferences to see new products coming in every day, and then see how do you make use of the new product which is pertaining to your business type of threat, business threats for your type of business. So that is another way to look at it. Then other side of it is like, if it is, I know it's too much to consume for small to mid-sized companies, then a lot of service providers like managed SOC or managed security services type of companies, they kind of bring the variety of value into one core focus. So probably we can leverage those kind of services to address certain needs, and again, use the technology to build accountability, but still this is simplified. Majority of them are simplified through those service providers. Some of them are like even using AI ML platform even further simplifies this. You can either promote those things internally to minimize the workload, or maybe kind of find the companies who is leveraging that, so that gives you more transparency to the process that helps you to effectively manage. That is my take on that. Having said that, I think I answered all the questions. Again, thank you everyone, and thank you Vasu for the presentation, and thank you everyone wherever you are around the world and I'm attending this webinar. If you have any questions, you have the contact information in the slide. Feel free to send me an email or reach out to us, and we are more than happy to assist. And till then, thank you again, and we'll be I'll see you in next webinar.
Thank you. Thanks, Senthil.